Greetings, Stoic Gamers. Michael Bolton here, feeling a bit dodgy. I've been to the dentist. Half my face is numb. So I'm not entirely sure how far I'm going to get through this. But I wanted to have a conversation about why do we, Stoic Gamers, go to tournaments. I was watching on Twitch, which is a bit like YouTube TV for you older folks out there, the Warhammer World Championship final between Manny Chima and John Lennon, which Manny eventually won. And well done, Manny, on winning that. 3 games against the same fella across a weekend must have been an interesting way to play a tournament, but that's fine. And congratulations on becoming the world's first Warhammer 40k world champion. Terrific stuff. Well done. But I was looking at that and I was thinking that is certainly not how me, and I suspect a lot of other players, play 40k. Why do I go to a tournament? And then I started thinking, I'm not entirely sure. Why do I? I come away usually disappointed. I usually come away exhausted, not just for the weekend, but because I've invested a lot of time and effort into building my list, practicing with it, playing with it, and still coming nowhere near the top tables. So I'm contemplating, I'm thinking, I'm ruminating. And then over the weekend, I have one of my oldest friends, Ian, come down for a weekend. Ian played 40k for 20 years and gave it up recently. Sold all his stuff, all his Marines, beautifully painted, got rid of them, doesn't go to events anymore. And we had a conversation about this whole issue. And we didn't get very far, to be honest. We didn't know why we went in the first place. And we didn't really know why Ian stopped playing, although I had some sympathy with him. It was just very strange. It set me to thinking. I think I should put it out there and ask you guys what you think. I'm going to go through some of the reasons why we go to tournaments and make some suggestions as to why most of them are excuses. Some of the things that make me want to go, some of the things that make me not want to go. And at the end of that, we'll have a little bit of a wind up and a think. Reason number 1. I'm going to win this tournament. I used to win tournaments every so often. I used to win tournaments when everybody who went to the tournament was in the same kind of boat. We all had jobs. We all played for fun. We used the army that engaged us and energized us, the thing that suited our personality. I have friends, and I'm sure we all have, who play a certain army because it suits them. It's their play style. They're aggressive. They like to get across the table and beat people over the head. So they're using orcs. They're using Chaos Space Marines. And they will use those whatever the meta and whatever rules Games Workshop bring. I've got other friends who like to stand back and pretend they are in the middle of World War II, or sending shells and firing lanes and tanks and all that kind of stuff. Great, no problem. It used to be fun like that. And we used to all have a reasonable chance on occasion of winning the odd event. Doesn't work like that anymore. It really doesn't. Now, the events we go to have such a wide range of skill sets that although Games Workshop keeps saying, oh yes, you're going to enjoy yourself, it's going to be great fun, if you go to expecting to win, it ain't going to be fun. You're going to get beaten. And the reason is there's such a wide range of skills, from the very top players in the country or even the world now, all the way down to club players who play once a month if they're lucky and read the books occasionally and get their toys out and paint them. And again, some people like to paint. Some people prefer to paint than play. So you've got those players who are persuaded to go along to an event just to show their modeling skill off. Fantastic. They're not going to win an event. So if going to win is what ignites you, it's unlikely to happen. It's like me going to the pub with my mates, getting 10 other guys together, forming a football team, entering the FA Cup and expecting to win it. It's not going to work. Or it's like me taking my Ford Fiesta to a Formula One track and expecting to beat professional race drivers. Not going to happen. In fact, it's even better than that. It's like me taking a Formula One car, because I can build a list, to a Formula One race and wondering why I come last and probably die. So I'm not going to win. I am not going to win. The difference between the top players and the bottom players, which used to be small, is now enormous. So the question becomes, if football has leagues so that different skill sets get fair games, fun games, games that are entertaining to the player and the observer, if car racing has different categories, if horse racing and golf have handicaps, why do we expect to go to a 40k tournament with half a chance of winning? It's complete self-delusion. And I, for one, am guilty of that. I occasionally get a list. I think I'm going to win. I win a couple of practice games. Ha ha! Now I've tapped into the meta. Nothing can stop me now. How wrong can I be? Often I'm wrong, but that is very much wrong. So I think going with the intention of winning, unless you are one of those top 10 players or the top 10%, you've got Buckley's chance. What else? Let's kid ourselves. Let's say, oh, yes, we go for fun. We just go for a good time. Woohoo! Well, for me, that's a yes and a no. If you go with the intent of winning and you don't, you can't kid yourself that you went to have fun, because losing 4 and winning 1 when you think you're going to win is not fun. I don't care how stoic we are and how resilient, you are going to feel like shit. So don't even think about trying to pull that one and say, oh, yes, I didn't do very well, but I had great fun. Bollocks. If you wanted to win, you didn't have fun. Right. It's rather like the attitude of parents at a school sports day. So it's all good fun for the dads. Oh, I'm not taking it seriously. As soon as you put them in a sack and tell them to race the other dads, they want to win. And when they don't win, it ain't a happy experience. In fact, it's probably a trip to A&E as well. But nevertheless, you get my drift. If you go with the intent of winning and try and kid yourself that, oh no, I'm only there for fun, you're not going to have a good time. What else? You could say, and this is slightly different to having fun at the event, you could say, I go because it's a social event. It's a chance to meet with my friends. Well, it is, and it isn't. You do meet up with your friends. You do socialize with them potentially in the evenings. Less so now, I have to say. In the old days, going back a few years, when the games finished before 7:30 or 8 o'clock at night, you did have a chance to socialize in the evening on a Saturday across a weekend. Now, Alex, myself, and Neil have decided that we're going to go to fewer events, but we're going to go for 3 nights so that we do get a chance on the Sunday to sit down without having to get up early on the Monday, when we've got a reasonable time to get back to our accommodation and shower before we go out, that we've got a chance to actually spend some time socializing. But if you're going to a 2-day tournament and you're driving and you arrive on a Saturday morning, say, you have half an hour over a rushed steak at a sleazy steak place to enjoy the conversation of people before you crash out in bed and wake up the following morning, especially as you get older. So I'm not sure that socializing is any kind of excuse for going to a tournament. Secondly, you can socialize with your friends without having to pay 50 quid to go to a tournament, and a hotel cost and the cost of traveling there, blah, 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 blah. You don't need it. There's also the opportunity cost. If you go to that event, you're not going to spend time socializing with your friends because you're going to a tournament. You know, it's a crazy and wrong way to be thinking about it. It's an excuse. It's a reason that you say you're there when actually you either want to win, you want to have a bit of fun, you'd rather finish the last game on a Saturday early or not do it at all so you can get back and go out with your friends. And I have to say, to my eternal shame, that on a number of occasions in the last couple of years, two or three of us have said to each other, let's not play the last game on the Saturday. Let's lose it so that we can go and have a nice relaxed evening meal or dinner or whatever. And that's not even starting to think about whether restaurants still have their kitchens open at 8:30 or 9 o'clock when you get there. This is just simply a case of it's too late. It is really too late. So those are three reasons we're not going to win. So why should we go? It's not as much fun, because especially if you want to win. It can be fun if you don't care about winning, but then why are you going to a tournament where the whole thing is geared up to be a competition of skills and a challenge? And then finally, you could kid yourself that you're going to socialize with your friends, who you don't see very often. And isn't it a good chance to see them? Well, you hardly ever see them. You're playing games for 9 hours of a weekend, of a day. So you might see them for a cigarette break and a chewy, doughy sandwich at lunchtime, and for 6 rushed pints and a collapso vino in the local Italian just before you go to bed. It's not socializing. Let me think about why I go. After the first part of this podcast, I'm racking my brains to work out why I actually do go to tournaments. And it turns out that I am completely delusional. I go because somewhere deep down, I think I might be good enough to win. Now, the sensible part of me is saying, don't be silly. You're never going to win. You don't do the time. You don't do the reps. You don't know the armies. You haven't got the conviction to spend the time it takes, or the resources, or the time to paint the armies so that you can get them on the table in time when they're still at the top of the meta. By the time I've painted an army, they've been to the top. People have won with them, and then they've tripped and tumbled their way down the slippery stairs of delusionment into the basement of failure. And I'm not really willing to be to going down there, but I think I'm delusional. So I do think one of the reasons to go is because I think I might win. It's delusional, I know, but that's what I think. The second reason is I do actually have fun. Why do I have fun? I think I'm going to win, and I've kidded myself that I'm going to have fun when I win. And when I don't win, I'm even more delusional because I persuade myself that I've had some good games. And even though I've only won 2 out of 5 games, what great fun that was. I'm not sure that's true. I do I do come away from events feeling as though I've had some fun, but on self-analysis later on, I'm really disappointed with 2 out of 5. I want to win 4 and sometimes occasionally win 5 and stand next to the good players in the country with my shoulder to shoulder saying, ha ha, I can still do it. I'm delusional. So, what else? One of the issues is socializing. I mentioned that. And again, I it's disappointing socializing because you can't during the day. I've talked about it. I'll skip over that. Again, you're deluding yourself if you think it's a social event. Even clubs, and you see the Facebook pictures of everybody having a nice meal after their Saturday. It's not a nice meal. It starts at 9 o'clock. You've only got a couple of hours with each other, and even then you're probably busy throwing beer down your throats, so you're not really socializing, and you can do that anywhere. So let's skip over that. I'm going over old ground. Why do I go? One of the reasons, and this is again, I think, a psychological issue with gamers and collectors and enthusiasts, is if I get off the carousel and I stop buying the models and I stop reading the rules and I stop following players, I won't be able to get on. I won't be able to get back, and I'll never play again. And all that stuff that I've invested in will be pointless. Why have I done it? And I feel very much in that boat a lot of the time. And so I read, I watch YouTube videos of the good players playing. I'm not, I'm not sure it's healthy, but I do get a very strong sense of, if I stop playing, I'll never play this again. Now, why am I worried about that? I shouldn't be worried. I used to be a historical gamer. There are thousands of games, many better than Warhammer 40k in mechanism, that I could play. I could paint myself an army of, I don't know, Castellan knights from medieval Spain and go and play with those, and the game system would be better. It would be more fun to play. That nobody cares about winning or losing. It's a little bit of a historical chit chat. Great fun. I could do that, but I don't. And I'm sure I'm not alone. Second reason I was thinking about why I go is I'm invested. Oh my God, am I invested? How many thousands of points of Chaos Space Marines, Necrons, Astra Militarum have I got in my loft, in my garage, under the stairs, that will never see the light of day again? But they're there, and I feel a compulsion that I must occasionally get them out and play with them. Or, oh, if I keep them long enough, they'll be really good. They'll be the kind of army that is top of the meta, and I might win a competition with it. I can't stop. It's an addiction. It's plastic crack in its most literal sense. It's hard. It's really hard to stop. So there's another couple of reasons. The bottom line, I think, all of those things speak of serious mental health issues. It's self-delusion in the extreme if you think you're going to win. It is self-damaging if you think it's going to be, if you think you're going to win and you think you're going to have fun, you ain't. It's not a social. If you want to have a social with 10 of your mates, bloody go to a weekend away in a hotel, eat a lot, drink a lot, sit around, chat, smoke big cigars, go for a short walk on a Sunday morning to blow the cobwebs away, and then do it all again. That is a social. That is what you should be doing if you want to socialize with your friends. And if you want to talk about 40k, talk about it. If you want to have a quick game of something that's going to last an hour as a reason to be there, if you like, do that. But then socialize, talk to people. That's what it's about. Delusion. I think if you're not going to win these events, you're delusional if you think you are. So, moving on. I've ranted a bit, but I feel very strongly about this. This does not mean I will not continue to go to tournaments. I walk away from tournaments enjoying the experience and ticking them off and saying, I've been. But when I analyze it, every reason that I say I'm going to a tournament is self-delusion. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to win. The chances are, if I think I'm going to win and I don't, I'm not going to have much fun. I'll have little chance to socialize with people. I'm going partly because I need to make sure that, oh, if I get a bit of experience here, I might win at the next one, or I might do better at the next one. And if I stop playing for 3 months, a year, I'll never be able to play again at the same sort of level I'm at, which again is self-delusional, because any bloody monkey could play at the kind of level I'm at. So there are issues. There are issues. And I would very much like you to tell me if you feel the same way, because I could just be an old curmudgeon. Okay. A nice short one today because I'm on my own. But now I'm going to tell you what I'm up to. Quite exciting tournament news is that this coming weekend, which I don't know what it is. What's the coming weekend? It's going to be the... I'm looking at my calendar now. It's taking ages to load up. 25th, 26th of November. I'm going to be down in Plymouth at the Cross Swords tournament. I'm taking Chaos Space Marines. Now, I know I said I was going to take Necrons, but let me tell you why I'm taking Chaos Space Marines. I've finished painting a few extra chosen, and firstly, I think they're good. So I'm delusional in that I think I've got a reasonably good list, and I'm going to take it. So it's got the lords with the chosen in the rhino, so they can advance, jump out, advance, charge, soup themselves up, use the good strat to boost all of their output, and hopefully win. So yeah, it's a good list. I think it hasn't got some of the things. It hasn't got a forge fiend, which everybody has. Um, it doesn't take lots and lots of cultists. I think I've got 10. And I'm including venom crawlers because I like the models as much as anything else. So it's good, but it's not the best. But I think I might win 3. I could go 4-1 if I get the right matchups. So that's what I'm doing there. It's a hell of a drive. I'm going to stay with my friend Steve in Yeovil on Friday. Then it's another hour and a half down to Plymouth. Then we play 3 games. We try to socialize when we're absolutely exhausted on a Saturday night, falling asleep in our mixed grills at the local bar. Then we wake up in the morning. We do 2 days. We drive 2 games. We drive back to Steve's in Yeovil. And then if I'm feeling up to it, I drive another 3.5 hours home, or more likely, I'll have a couple of whiskeys with him and I'll drive home on the Monday morning because I'm lucky enough to be flexible enough not to have to go to work on the Monday. So that's my plan. As I said earlier on, I'm going with an intent of winning a few games. I don't know if that'll be the case. So that's the first one. Second one is a little thing that came out of the blue, and that I'm really quite proud of. I had a message from Martin. Now Martin's a player from Holland, or the Netherlands to be correct, because I understand Holland is part of the Netherlands. But he phoned me. He said, I was just listening to your podcast, which made me feel kind of important. And he said, I'm taking a team to the Team Scotland Clan Wars event on the 9th of, I think it's the 9th of December. And we're a member short. I was listening to your podcast. I wondered if you'd like to come along. So I immediately said yes, because I'm now being stoic and also noting that I am delusional. I'm trying to be positive. So I'm saying yes to as many things as I can. That was one of them. And I said, yes, I'll come. Where is it? He said, it's in Bathgate, which is in Livingston, which is in Scotland, which is a 5-hour drive from my house. I'm going 4.5 hours south one weekend, then I have a weekend break, and then I'm then I'm going all the way up 5.5 hours, 6 hours drive up to Scotland 2 weekends later. Nevertheless, I'm sure I will have a good time because I'm going to win. I'm not, but as a team, it's a team event with 5 of us in the team. So that's another thing. I go, I've got an army I've had some practice with. It's Chaos Space Marines. He says, no. He says, no. Unfortunately, the rest of the team is already established. So you can't have sisters. You can't have Chaos Space Marines. You can't use Eldarian. You can't use Marines. So I said, how about Necrons? Good. So I'm taking my Necron list. It's not even the meta Necron list that has just done really, really well at the World Championships, where it started beating the hell out of Eldari. I know why it does it. It's the 2 20-man warrior blocks with all the buffing and all the reanimation you can shake a stick at. And he was lucky enough to play 3 Eldar lists. Now, Eldar are uber armies, but they struggle with their normal build to kill 20-man warrior blobs that reanimate all the time. So the warrior blobs just go and stand on objectives, probably take fixed, and Eldar can't do much about it. It's as boring as hell, to be honest, and that's why I'm not using it. But you can understand why other people do. Okay, that's about the size of it. If you've enjoyed it, share it. Press the little thumbs up button if you're watching it on YouTube, or send me a message, make a comment. I want to know how you feel about me suggesting that if you're going to events that you're not going to win, you're delusional. I'm sure that there is people out there who have some comments on that. For those of you going to Cross Swords, can't wait to see you at the weekend. That'll be fun. And to the team that I'm playing with, at the Clan Wars event at the beginning of December. Please forgive me now. Until then, see you on the ice.